I audible? Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir.
শুনিছানে মই কোৱাটো? শুনিছানে?
Sir, শুনিছো ভয়েসটো ভালকে অহা নাই। ছাৰৰ ভয়েসটো অহা নাই।
ভালকে শুনা নাই ন?
Hello, sir.
Hi. এতিয়া ধ্ৰুৱদাকে এটা ফোন কৰো নেকি ন
হেল্ল'
জয়েন কৰিলে
আচ্ছা
বঢ়িয়া অন টাইম একদম পুৰা
ঠিক
তো এইটো ইউটিউব লাইভ হৈ আছে ন এতিয়া কি কয় স্বপ্না
স্যার লাইভ হৈ আছে কিন্তু আমাৰ মিটটো হোৱা নাই এতিয়ালৈকে লাইভ
না ঠিক আছে 11টাত কৰিবা আচ্ছা ধ্ৰুৱদা for your information there are 407 candidates 407 participants
okay very good
from all over the country আৰু স্বপ্না অলপ এইটো কৈ দিয়া কি কয় ব্ৰেকআপ টু কৰ পৰা কিমান আছে
মই মানে 12 নুনত ওলাই যাব পাৰিম ন
আমাৰ 11
স্যার মানে 11:45 ত শেষে হ'ব
sure fine ঠিক আছে
স্যাৰ আমি
অলপ ব্ৰেকআপ টু অলপ কৈ দিয়াচোন
স্যার আমাৰ 11 ত স্টাৰ্ট হ'ব তাৰপিছত বিপুল শৰ্মা ছাৰৰ আছে টক 4 মিনিটস ক'ব ছাৰে তাৰপিছত সৰকাৰ ছাৰে ওৰিয়েন্টেশন কৰিব 8 মিনিটস তাৰপিছত আপোনাৰ 10 মিনিটস
ঠিক আছে গুড
তাৰপিছত এই পংকজ মিত্তল জয়েন কৰিব লাগে আৰু
ঠিক আছে ভেৰি গুড ওকে
এই স্বপ্না কৰ পৰা কিমান আহিছে অলপ ছাৰক কৈ দিয়া না
এক সেকেন্ড স্যার
মেইনলি আসাম ফলোড বাই অৰুণাচল প্ৰদেশ ন ষ্টেট কেইটা কৈ দিলে
নহয় স্যার আমাৰ কথা শুনি আছে বুলি কৈছে লাইভত 1 মিনিট
ওকে
কথা শুনি আছে ইকবালক চাবলৈ দিছো স্যার Good morning to all present here. It is an honor to welcome you all to this interdisciplinary research course on curriculum and pedagogy organized by Teaching Learning Center, Tezpur University, in which program different institutional faculty, college faculty, university faculties have joined throughout the country. Here we welcome you all to this inaugural session of this program and welcome you all to Tezpur University. In this inaugural session, we will give you a brief introduction about Teaching Learning Center. The center under Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching under the prestigious launching of Ministry of Education, Government of India. And this Teaching Learning Center was commenced in the year 2016 with the objectives to provide assistance and support for promoting best practices in teaching learning environment through research and dissemination of already generated knowledge, to generate and maintain learning materials and resources for easy access to learners and teachers, to develop discipline-specific curricular framework for professional development program, to prepare an outline of different pedagogy and scheme of assessment and evaluation method of different disciplines by organizing workshops and seminars to facilitate capacity building and professional development of teachers. Its main activities are conduction of orientation and research courses, workshop on various themes of teaching learning pedagogy, development of teaching learning materials including e-content, preparation of different pedagogical outline and scheme of assessment and evaluation, different professional development programs, publication, along with action research programs. The overview of the programs that Teaching Learning Center has conducted during the last 5 years. The total number of programs are 71, and with the mode of offline and online as per ministry guidelines, the Teaching Learning Center has targeted beneficiaries of higher education community in pan-Indian level, and it has involved more than 600 resource persons to conduct the various training programs. It has completed 69 experimental action research programs and also publication of 2 pedagogical action research reports. It has one dedicated website, Teaching Learning Center, Tezpur University, publication of different research action research reports and induction training of faculties. And it also has a dedicated YouTube channels with more than 90 multimedia content. The future initiatives that Teaching Learning Center has proposed to make a discipline-specific framework of curriculum with a comprehensive plan, preparation of discipline-specific handbook, e-content on various pedagogical aspects in regional languages, and engaging college teachers for preparation of module development through outreach program and develop these as e-resources. The best practices that Teaching Learning Center has providing are like proper balance of lecture and activity sessions, strict punctuality and active participation during workshops, session-wise, program-wise, and resource person-specific feedback in both online and offline mode, handbook on resource persons and participants, and facilitating teacher training in remote areas through outreach program. And we have a follow-up program to convergence. In this particular interdisciplinary refresher course, we have a total number of 407 confirmed participants from across the country, representing the social categories and representation of female and male participants. Within the 407 participants, we have assistant professors, associate professors, librarians, principal, and guest lecturers and lecturers from the country. And in the form that we have received while registration, we came to know that majority of the participants have their basic competencies in use of ICT skills. So we welcome you all to this particular interdisciplinary refresher course. And in this inaugural session, we have the honor to welcome Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor of Tezpur University, Professor Dhruva Kumar Bhattacharya, who is among us. And within a minute, Dr. Pankaj Mittal will join with us as a chief guest of this program. So may I now request Dr. Dhruva Kumar Bhattacharya, sir, to inaugurate the speech. And before, sir, would like to request Dr. Bipul Kumar Sharma, sir, to give the formal inaugural welcome address. Sir, please.
Thank you very much, Swapna. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
A very good morning to everybody. Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor of Tezpur University, Professor Dhruva Kumar Bhattacharya, sir. Honorable Secretary General of Association of Indian Universities, Dr. Pankaj Mittal, Madam, who will be joining us shortly. Honorable Director, Teaching Learning Center, Tezpur University, Professor Subhranshu Shekhar Sarkar, sir. My colleagues at Teaching Learning Center, Dr. Sapna Bora and Mr. Iqbal Ahmed, and all esteemed participants of this interdisciplinary refresher course on curriculum and pedagogy. I, on behalf of Teaching Learning Center, Tezpur University, welcome you all to this inaugural session of the refresher course to be conducted in online mode from today till 21st of June. Ideally, we would have liked to welcome you all to the last...
I can learn to understand you much better if I can get familiar with the way you talk. I need your permission to help.
In the Sonitpur district of Assam. However, due to the prevailing situation and the subsequent restrictions, our interactions are happening in virtual mode only. We all have come slowly but surely to the terms of virtual interactions, which have both advantages and disadvantages, and we all know about this. Although this refresher course is taking place in virtual mode, we shall try to stay connected with you all as much as possible through various modes like Google Classroom, a Telegram group, various assignments, discussions during the live sessions. We believe that your physical presence shall be felt throughout the program by your active participation everywhere. I would like to mention briefly about our university for the participants whose association with our university is new. Tezpur University is a central university set up in the year 1994 by an act of parliament, and it started with only 3 departments and 57 students initially, and during the last 27 years of its existence, the university has grown into a leading academic institution in Northeast India with 26 departments, 7 centers, and more than 4,500 students under 4 schools of studies: sciences, humanities, management, and engineering. And Tezpur University has received Visitors Best University Award in 2016 and has maintained a consistently good position in various national and global rankings. Our researchers have earned global and national awards as well. Coming back to the refresher course, there shall be 21 live sessions, including the inaugural and the valedictory session, and there will be 9 pre-recorded sessions spaced across 2 weeks. We hope that your association with us will be very fruitful, and we all together can make this program a successful one. I'd like to welcome you again to this refresher course. Thank you very much. Over to Swapna.
Thank you, sir. We have among us Director, Teaching Learning Center, Professor Subhranshu Shekhar Sarkar. May I now request you, sir, to address the participants regarding the inaugural program and review the objectives of the refresher course.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And good morning to all the esteemed participants of the program. We are very happy to have you all in this tough time. As you know that we are sailing through a very tough time. Talking to you before camera is also painful because we want to have a physical conversation with you. Anyhow, taking the challenge, the whole world has taken the challenge. In India also, we have taken the challenge. We wish that there is no academic year loss for the students. And that's why we are trying our level best as the teachers of various educational institutions. Refresher course is part and parcel of our life, and as a teacher, we must refresh our knowledge from time to time. And with this aim, we are now conducting this 2 weeks interdisciplinary refresher course on curriculum and pedagogy. As you know, that curriculum and pedagogy has taken a revolutionary reforms in this current time, and it is our endeavor to refresh you all with some of the areas we thought it's relevant. We will be discussing something on the first session today on effective qualities of a teacher. Very, very important. We are all teachers in this noble profession. So it is very much necessary that let us refresh ourselves on some of the qualities of effective teacher. Then there will be some discussions on the 4-quadrant approach. 4-quadrant approach is the UGC's mandate. We will be joined by Dr. Pankaj Mittal, who has been very active over the years over this 4-quadrant approach during her stint at UGC. Now she is at the Association of Indian Universities as the Secretary General. So in this particular session, we will be highlighting the 4-quadrant approach and also a software of that is screencasting. NEP 2020, all teachers we should know something about the new education policy, and there will be a session on decentering English. Who are from English, they will get, of course, special interest in this session. Otherwise also, as English is the major language and the backbone of our education, so this session will be very much interesting to all of you. Then myself, I will be discussing something about MOOCs, the e-learning industry and e-learning platform, and we'll try to encourage all of you in this particular field. There will be some demonstration of screencasting software, of course the low-cost softwares which we have, so that we can use it frequently in making quality videos for making it interesting to the students. OBE has become a buzzword these days, outcome-based education. That whatever we teach, whatever we do, must have certain kinds of objectives. We have learning outcomes, we have program outcomes. We are very fortunate that Professor D.K. Bhattacharya, the Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor of Tezpur University with us, he has been actively involved in this particular field of OBE. Pedagogy is a term where it is something different from pedagogy. Here more independence is given to the learners. So this is something that we must know. So there will be a session on this particular aspect. LMS, Moodle. Moodle is one of the very popular learning management software, and there will be some sessions on Moodle, that is how to go for the setup of Moodle, how the evaluation, assessment done through Moodle. So we will try to encourage in having this kind of LMS in your institution as well as in your personal capacity. Building competencies of teachers in blended learning environment. This COVID has changed the entire scenario, and we think that blended learning will be part of our life in future. There will be online teaching, online video will be part of our system. In many education institutions, blended learning was there in their part 5 years back. But now COVID has made it almost compulsory for all organizations. So how to build the competencies of teachers in blended learning environment, we'll be discussing on that. Understanding OER for blended teaching, the open educational resources. As you know, I was prompted to use some photograph, cartoons here to show more, make it more interesting. But I was a bit scared. Whenever something is uploaded in public domain, we must know that it is from open educational resources. So that's why what is OER, what is all these things, we must know, so there is no, so that there is no copyright violation, trademark violation, etc. Gender mainstreaming in education, as in the introduction also we have seen that we have a good mixture of male and female participation here. Gender mainstreaming is very, very important and is a very relevant part in the refresher course that we are organizing now. National education policy, there will be another session and its impact on higher education. So NEP 2020 will be discussed in detail in this particular session so that we are aware of its various nitty-gritties. Curriculum and instruction. There will be a special session where the resource person will be talking of the curriculum design and the instruction medium that we have to follow. Curriculum development and implementation, as our main theme of this refresher course is curriculum development and implementation. So we will definitely try to see more sessions on this particular aspect, that how curricular is being developed, how it is being implemented. As you know that you work in some institution, there will be visits of NAC expert team. They will be very much interested and to ask questions individually to the faculty on this particular aspect. So as an institution, it is important. As an individual teacher also, you should be very thorough on this particular field of curriculum development and implementation. This is another thing of cloud-based storage and sharing. Our accountability nowadays is very, very high. The society, the people will be asking, what are we doing during this time? There is a mindset of society, many people, that the teachers are not doing anything. They are getting their salary by not doing anything. Tomorrow the accountability will be there. So that's why whatever we do, whatever creations we are making, that should be stored and that should be shared appropriately. A record can be maintained. So a session on cloud-based storage and sharing will be there. Of course, communication skills is the bread and butter of our profession. I may be very brilliant, but if I cannot communicate the knowledge to the students, if I do not have soft skills, in that case, we may not be good teachers. So a session on communication skill, a session on learner-centric pedagogy is also will be done, how we can make the pedagogy more learner-centric. Of course, we will be discussing something about the online assessment tools. What are the different tools available? And also a session on curriculum evaluation, how we can evaluate the curriculum. Curriculum and pedagogy. Online and interactive presentation software will also be demonstrated in a particular session. Then we will have a session on online and offline classes, balancing the flip-flop that we are experiencing this moment. We are not taught to for online teaching specifically. We were doing our offline classes till March 2020. Suddenly we shifted to online classes. So how to balance the flip-flop? Then a session on academic leadership. You may become an academic leader tomorrow. You may be chairing a big position in your institution, in some other institution. So a session on academic leadership. And challenges of online teaching, including measures to prevent abuse and misuse, will be our last session in the 2-week program. And there will be live discussion with us on hands-on activity session. There will be assessment and examination to evaluate the performance of the participants. So this is the whole program that we are thinking to share with you during these 2 weeks. Hope it would be enjoyable and we will get your active participation. Thank you very much. Thank you, and we'll welcome you again to this 2-week interdisciplinary refresher course. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your orientation regarding the program. Now, I would like to request Dr. Dhruva Kumar Bhattacharya, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor of Tezpur University, to give the formal inaugural speech. Professor Bhattacharya had joined Tezpur University's Vice Chancellor in April 2021. And regarding sir's credit, he has a different number of books. And the latest book is publication is Gene Expression Data Analysis, a Statistical and Machine Learning Perspective. His specialization areas of Dr. Bhattacharya are machine learning, network security, and bioinformatics. It's a very pleasure to have you with us, sir. Sir, may I now request you?
Thank you very much, Swapna. And thank you, Professor Sarkar, Dr. Sharma, and Iqbal and others for giving me this opportunity to be part of this important session. I'm very happy to see another important event being organized by TLC. So TLC has been doing a great job in the last, few years. And so this is another important event that TLC has been organizing. And so I, on behalf of Tezpur University, would like to welcome you, all the participants, to this important event. And I hope that the next 2 weeks, there will be a lot of live sessions, 21 live sessions, as Professor Sarkar just mentioned. And also there will be recorded sessions, and also there will be interactions. And I hope that you will enjoy it, and it will be very much useful for you. Now, this curriculum and pedagogy, these two things actually has been in very much, in discussion in different forums. It's mainly because there are a few reasons. First thing is that no curriculum can be static. Over time, due to requirements from a recruiter point of view, from societal requirement, and also to improve our level of knowledge, to meet or to take up the challenges, a real life problem. The curriculum needs revisions, and time to time, and every higher educational institutions, they are to revise their syllabus, revise their curriculum. And while revising such curriculum, of course, we need to take necessary feedback from the stakeholders, maybe the recruiter, maybe the parents, maybe the students, of course, maybe the alumni, and also the employer. So different kind of feedback. So every institution should have a mechanism to gather this feedback, and appropriate analysis should be there. And in light of that analysis, finally, they decide that in what way this curriculum need to be revised. And as Professor Sarkar mentioned about the outcome-based learning, this is one of the major reforms in higher educational institution has been taking place, and every higher educational institutions need preparation to cope up with this outcome-based learning. Because from the NAAC assessment point of view, or from other accreditation perspective also, it is highly essential to implement outcome-based learning in any higher educational institution. Okay, so there's a cycle, and then because every course you need to have a set of objectives, and that has to be pre-specified, and it must be visible to the students. Okay, and so the students must know before joining the course that what are the objectives is supposed to be fulfilled or supposed to be achieved after fulfillment of this course, whether it is a theoretical course, or it is a practical course, or it is a theory practical course. And so apart from the course objective, every program must have also set of pre-specified objective. And now, after successful completion of a course, then there is a necessity for every department, for every institution to have an appropriate analysis, based on the feedback that they have received from the students and the other stakeholders. Whether, the students really could learn something, or whatever the expectations were there, then how much those expectations actually we have achieved, or if there are any deviation from there, then what may be the causes of deviations, and according to that, you need to have an introspections, and you need to take necessary measures so that you can minimize it and the maximum learning you can make possible for the students. So now, of course, as Professor Sarkar and others have mentioned, the recent times, of course, is more challenging to have the educations with quality, and especially in the online mode. But as you know, that whenever there will be some disadvantages, whenever there will be some lack of some challenges, of course, will be there. I mean to say that in offline education systems, and when you suddenly switch after March 2020, then you can convert it in terms of some opportunities, that how can I improve my quality of education despite of not having any offline education system. So many higher education institutions, of course, come up with a lot of innovations. Okay, so just now, as mentioned about, say, Google Classroom or Moodle, these are the platforms. Most of the higher education institution students and teachers have been using it, and it helps. To maintain timing. It helps for better content delivery and more content delivery. In fact, if you take a class in online mode, if you start from 9:30 and if it goes to 10:30, then exactly 1 hour you can go on delivering the contents. So from last 3 semesters experience, what at least I have found, that any 3 credit course is supposed to have a 44, 45 classes, okay? Or a 4 credit course, you may have a class number of classes is 55 or 56 like this. Then the number of classes, if you, for a 3 credit course, 44 classes, online classes and offline classes, if you compare these two, then you will see there will be a lot of contents you have to deliver if it is in online mode, because the time is saved. Time is saved. Of course, there must be some interactions, and the other side, of course, should have adequate bandwidth so the student can participate online and can ask questions, and also the teacher can answer, teacher can clarify the doubts of the students. If it is happening, then I believe that this online education or whatever is going on right now cannot be a disadvantage. Rather, it will be more advantageous if you know how to utilize the timing. Now, if you have a moderate class, say 30, 40 students, then you can schedule your class anytime. Maybe in the night time also, maybe on Saturday also, maybe Sunday also. So that way, the completion of course, it becomes easy in an online mode. But provided, again, I repeat, that adequate bandwidth or network connectivity has to be there. Now, while sharing your contents, while developing your e-contents, as Professor Sarkar mentioned, that we have to follow definitely the ethics, that whatever the contents you are borrowing from here and there, then you have to make appropriate acknowledgement so that it should not lead to any kind of plagiarism. So in a way, since these documents you are sharing over internet or intranet, so each teacher has to be more and more careful and has to be more organized. And this is also helpful for the students, because if somehow some portion of the speech, somehow the student missed it, then since the lecture is recorded, and later on it can be shared with the students, or it will be available in the Google Classrooms. So that way the students will be much more, and it is becoming much more helpful for the students, because if some portion of the speech he or she could not follow, then later on also he or she could repeatedly listen and can try to learn about these things. And not only that, apart from delivering the lectures in online mode. There are other platforms like WhatsApp or email and other Facebook also the teachers have been using. So in a WhatsApp group, it can make with the students, and among the students, it can discuss maybe the traditional problems and as well as some innovative problems. And some students having some brilliant ideas can discuss there, and as a consequence, the learning, I mean, efforts, it is also less. At the same time, more people are gaining it from such a discussion. So that is why, I mean, this online education which is going on right now, I should say that this has given a lot of opportunities for us to be more organized and more, I mean, systematic to provide the contents to the students and also in the preparation of the content. And cloud technology is, of course, is helping a lot for storage these contents. And so, I mean, the next year when I'll be teaching the same course, then of course I can refer my previous lectures and I can go on augment it, and I can make the contents more and more richer. So that is how, I mean, this should be an opportunity for all. Now, apart from this online educations, that is, I mean, based on outcome-based learning approach, that the mechanisms of analyzing the feedback and taking also the necessary action for improvement of the curriculum, this should be a routine work for every higher educational institutions. Otherwise, I mean, when the NAAC visit will be there or any other accreditation visit will be there, either for online inspection or from offline. So they would like to know that how many times in a semester or in a year that syllabus modification or curriculum revisions has taken place, and how the process initiated and what is the basis of modification of the curriculum change. And so if you are systematic and if you are taking the feedback and appropriately discuss in the right forum and then materializes in the form of action taken, and then later on, if you go on doing the task and you monitor it quarterly or maybe in periodically, so this will not only help you to become dynamic, also the students also will be more energetic, the students will be more interested, and they will come to know that they are working in an environment which is much more vibrant. Now, the change of pedagogy, which, I mean, there will be a definitely discussion session will be there. So this achievement based on the outcome-based learning, there are some metrics, okay? That means one course somebody has, when completed out of in a program, then how much actually the program outcome, what is the program outcome and how much it is possible to achieve by completion of a module, completion of a subset of courses. Then each course, what will be the objective and how it is helpful for, I mean, that program outcome achievement there. So there are some metrics, and if suppose every teacher and every, I mean, this that higher educational institution implemented systematically this, so this will not only help you to produce a skilled professional, and at the same time, I mean, for the recruiter also, it will be much more beneficial. Now, when I mentioned the word skill, recently, as you know, that UGC has been repeatedly requesting to incorporate skill component in every course. Okay, so how much skill a student will learn after successful completion of a course? That this exercise needs to be done by every teacher. Every teacher should know when he's teaching a course that how much skill is there, and if suppose it is not skill oriented, then how can I incorporate some skill there? Okay. Even say a spoken English course, even also they are skilled, because after successfully learning that course, somebody can, if becomes fluent in speaking English, then he or she definitely can join some job, maybe a guide in a tourist place, and can help others to explain about the facts, explain about the historical monuments in more clearly and more carefully. So that is why, I mean, every course, if you look at, you will find some form of skill is there, whether it is a science-based course, engineering-based course, or humanities-based course, or it's a management-oriented course. So every teacher needs to know that where is the skill component, and how can I more, emphasize on that, so that after successful completion of the course, at least that student, whoever is done successfully, will learn some skill, and later on it can apply it in the real life problem solving. Okay, so now another important topic, which as I have come to know, will be discussed here, that is NEP 2020. And if you have learned about this policy, that you will find that a lot of flexibilities are provided, okay, and more emphasis is given on interdisciplinary teaching, learning, as well as research. And this university, Tezpur University, also has been doing this practice from its very inception. We have a lot of interdisciplinary research and programs, and now recently we have established a center for interdisciplinary research, where in fact a highly interdisciplinary doctor also can join in a PhD program offered by an engineering department. Okay, so like that, a lot of good interdisciplinary discussion, interactions, exchange of ideas will be held there, and that will improve the ecosystems of our university, we believe. And this is what one of the prime focus of this NEP 2020. And apart from that, more modular programs, okay, with lateral entry and lateral exit, how we can design it. So we have been doing this so that students can take lateral exit after completion of certain modules, and whenever needed can come back and again can join with lateral entry. Okay, so this is another one very important emphasis is given on this NEP 2020. And so definitely there will be discussion here, and I am hopeful that when Dr. Mittal will be there, and he is one of the authorities here, and she will definitely discuss about this aspects. And anything, whatever you have in your mind, if you want to know that in the total interaction session, kindly interact with it so that our experts can clear your doubts. And I believe that this is 21 live sessions and this other 9 or 10 recorded sessions will be much more beneficial for you. And this course is very much timely and relevant for all of us. And hence, I thank again for organizing such an important event. And I again welcome you, all the participants, to this course. Thank you very much. And I declare hereby that this course is inaugurated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your enriching speech in front of all the audience present here. Now, I have the honor to inform all the participants that the chief guest of inaugural session, Dr. Pankaj Mittal, has joined with us. Before requesting ma'am, I would like to introduce her to you, that she is currently the Secretary General, Association of Indian Universities, is a Fulbright scholar, and has an experience of about 3 decades of higher education in policy planning and management of higher education. Dr. Mittal was appointed by the government of Haryana as the first regular Vice Chancellor of Bhagat Phool Singh Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, the first rural women university of North India in 2008, and was later extended for another term. Dr. Mittal introduced a series of innovative practices and reforms as the Vice Chancellor of the only rural residential multi-faculty women's state university of the country, which imparts education to 7,000 girls from KG till PhD level in a holistic manner. She has visited a number of countries for academic purposes, for presenting papers in international conferences and academic exchanges. She was also the proud recipient of Fulbright Nehru Scholarship along with other accolades. And Dr. Mittal has been a member of various high-powered committees and professional bodies, including Program Advisory Board and HRM Network Steering Committee on HRM of Association of Commonwealth Universities, London, and other Council of Higher Education. She has published a number of papers, articles, reports on issues relating to higher education and women empowerment in national and international journals. Because of her relentless effort, we could see the Swayam platform popular in India, who was the pioneer of starting MOOCs in India. So we are very happy to welcome you, ma'am, in this platform. And I now request you to deliver the speech in front of the participants. Ma'am, please.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't know your name, therefore it's not written there. No, it's only written Teaching Learning Center.
Ma'am, myself, Swapna Bora, Assistant Professor in Teaching Learning Center.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for a very, very generous introduction. And thanks to Professor Sarkar for inviting me here and giving me an opportunity to interact with all of you. It is always nice to interact with the teachers because teachers are the backbone of our nation. And the demographic dividend, which we keep on talking about on account of having young population, and the onus of that remaining a dividend lies with the teachers only, because they are the one who are grooming our future generation. They are the one who is taking care of our future. So I always salute the teachers, and it is always a good to interact with the teachers. I was just listening to Professor Bhattacharya. He was speaking very well on online education, and many issues which he has raised and many suggestions which he has given are very relevant, and the teachers must adhere to all those suggestions if they really want to perform well, if they really want to become good teachers in future. And you would also agree that the education, I mean the future of education, would be very different from what it is today. And in future, like today we seek a job in a university or a college, but in the future the teacher may not be employed in a single university. For example, you would be knowing that singers like Lata Mangeshkar, she was earlier an employee and she used to get a monthly salary and she used to sing based on that monthly salary. But today, can you even think of appointing a small actor or a singer on a monthly salary? No, not at all. Can you think of appointing a lawyer on a monthly salary? No, not at all. Similarly, in future, teachers will not come for a monthly salary. The good teachers who are really delivering good lectures, they will be so sought after that they will be visiting many universities and delivering lectures in many universities. It would be national or international or both, because with the online education now it is becoming very easy to cross the borders without actually going there. So the future teachers would be the one who will be the best teachers, and the students will be running for those. I mean, for example, when you talk about ABC in the national education policy, ABC, I'm sure you would be knowing, Academic Bank of Credit. Now, Academic Bank of Credit is like a commercial bank in which you deposit money. In Academic Bank of Credit, you deposit credits. And for depositing credits, the student has to have an account in the Academic Bank of Credit, and the student earns those credits by doing courses from various universities. By courses, I mean like right now you have full programs, you give admission to full programs, for example BA, BSc, BCom, MA, MSc program. But within a BA program or a BCom program, if there are say 10-15 papers, so these are 10-15 courses, and in future admission will be given to courses also in addition to the full program. Means the regular BA, BCom, BSc route will be there, but in addition to that, various papers in BA, which will be called various courses in BA, they can independently also take admission in these courses. And then under the ABC, the student will have a choice to do some courses from say Assam University, some from Tezpur University, some from Delhi University, some from JNU, some from say foreign university, some online and some offline. So this type of flexibility will be there with the student, and after the student is accumulating the credits based on the courses done in these universities, the the I mean, suppose he is having an account in the Academic Bank of Credit, and he is doing 5 courses from one university, 2 from another, 3 from another, 4 from another, and he keeps on accumulating credits. Suppose he accumulates 150 credits, and then suppose for a graduation 120 credits are required, then he will go with those 120 credits to a university and say that I have these 120 credits, out of which 50% are from your university. Now you give me a degree against these credits. So the university will be obliged to give a degree to that student, and in the account of the student only 30 credits will remain, because 120 he has used to redeem the credits into a degree. Now, why I'm talking about ABC is that when this admission to courses starts, then which will be the courses which will be more sought after? or most sought after. They will be the courses which will be offered by the best teachers. So the admission in the universities will become teacher driven, that the teachers who is attracting maximum students in the course, the teacher who is really delivering the best, they will be the teachers who will be sought after. And mind it, maybe 20 years from now, you means the best teachers of the country will not seek employment on permanent basis in any university like a lawyer today, or a actor or a singer or an artist today. You will never want to be sort of fixed to a single university. You will always be like to be a freelancer giving lectures in various universities because you will be so much in demand. So how to become that type of a teacher, that is something which you have to figure out today, and then work towards that goal of becoming the best teacher who is sought after not only nationally but also internationally. So what will be required for that? Now, you know that after corona, especially when the universities, colleges, everything closed, everybody moved to online teaching. And initially it was felt like when the COVID struck, we were thinking that it will impact a lot our teaching learning, our assessment evaluation, our research, our international collaboration. But slowly it became clear that online to a large extent is going to stay even post COVID. So the best teachers of today or tomorrow will be the ones who are very much familiar with the online teaching. Of course, content is very important, but how to present that content? What are you teaching is important, but how you're teaching is much more important, especially how you're teaching using the online resources, using the technology. So that is something which will be very important in future, and the teachers have to equip themselves. So when this COVID struck and the universities and colleges were closed, and when the teachers moved on to online education, and I must compliment our teachers also, because our teachers were not used to online teaching. But after this COVID, all of a sudden every teacher started teaching online. I mean, they really learned online teaching in no time. But again, teaching online and teaching online effectively are two different worlds. It's totally different. That how can you do effective online teaching, or how can you do online teaching? Like I'm speaking here in front of all of you in a lecture. This is good for lecture. This is good enough for a lecture, but this is not good enough for a teaching. For teaching, you cannot just be sitting here and giving lectures like that. Teaching means many more things. I mean, see, what are the things which are required for a teacher today to become the best teacher, or to become a future teacher, a sought after teacher, nationally and internationally known teacher? What are the things which will be required? First, of course, is the command on the content, the knowledge. The teacher has to be very knowledgeable, up to date in the knowledge, and whatever new is happening in their field, they should be knowing. There is nothing, I mean, nothing can replace that. So content is the foremost thing. But then they have to be up to date in the use of technology also, and the way they teach also. Because when you talk of national education policy, they are talking about online teaching, and then again and again I am saying that online teaching is going to stay. And when I say online teaching, you must have seen a recent letter or concept note from the UGC on blended education. And you should also understand the difference between the blended education and the hybrid education. Hybrid education would be that there are some courses in face-to-face mode, some courses in the online mode, and there is no, I mean, there's a different teacher who is teaching online, there's a different teacher who is teaching face-to-face. But in a particular program, there are some courses which are online and some courses which are face-to-face, and this is the hybrid model of teaching. But what is blended mode of teaching? Blended is in every course, the same teacher, some classes he is taking face to face, some online resources he is using, some online teaching he is doing, some ready-made online contents he is using. So every program or every class becomes a blended mode of education. And there, when we talk of flipped classroom model, so in flipped classroom model, all of you must be knowing, but let me repeat for some who do not know, that in our country, we teach in the class and the students sort of go back home and then they study, analyze, understand the concept. But in foreign countries, what happens is that the students are given the written text, the videos, the audios in the beginning of the class, the students are supposed to see the video, read the text, and then come to the class. And then in class, what happens? No teaching takes place. It's only the group discussions, problem solving, discussion with the teacher, sort of doubt. If there are some doubts in the minds of the students, they ask the teachers. If they did not understand anything in the video, they will talk to the teachers. What is new happening in that field, they'll talk to them. There'll be group discussions, analysis, problem solving, logical, rational. All those abilities will be enhanced during these type of discussions. So this is flipped classroom model, which the national education policy is also wanting to adopt, that our universities should also adopt the flipped classroom teaching, because that leads to better understanding. Because we are now not working on the input based education, that how much we are teaching. We are working on the outcome based education, that how much the student is learning, not even output. There's a difference between output and outcome also. Output is how many students went in, how many passed, with what percentages. Outcome is what the student knows after doing that course. I mean, there will be a national higher education qualification framework, that after doing a graduation, what the student ought to be knowing. So if you want to increase the outcome, if you want to have a learning outcome based education, the method of teaching has to change. We cannot rely on the lecture method, because that is not considered to be the best method of teaching. In that, we are many times promoting rote learning, and rote learning doesn't lead anywhere. And you know that the employability of our graduates, even in professional subjects like engineering, there was a report by McKinsey that 78% of our graduates are unemployable. Now, this is something very, very worrying, that how can our graduates be unemployable? So what could be the possible reasons? One is the content they are learning, and the second is the way they are learning. So therefore, the teachers have to adopt the best methods of teaching the students, and the teacher in future will not only be the information giver. Right now, when we do the lecture method, it is sort of passing on the information to the students, which will not be there in future. The teachers have to be sort of guide, mentor of the student, and they just have to sort of guide the student how to study, and the student will study, and then they have to clear the doubts, they have to do the problem solving. And that is what the flipped classroom model is. Now, for the flipped classroom model to be successful, what the teachers have to do? First, if they can record their own videos of their lectures, they can record and give it to the students. If they think that better lectures, I mean, what they are recording, better lectures than that are available on the net, then the teachers have to search for those lectures. It could be on any of the platforms. You must be knowing about EPG Pathshala. EPG Pathshala is a open education resource which was created by UGC. I was the one which was handling it at that point of time. And at present, it has around 25,000 videos in 4 modules. When I say 4 modules means video lecture, first module. Second module is the e-text, sort of lecture notes. So lecture notes for that particular class. I mean, talking about one particular class which you go and take in the class, what you teach. For every class, there is a video of what you speak in the class, video, then lecture notes, then self-assessment test. I mean, if the student wants to really understand that I have really understood the lecture or not, then self-assessment tests are there, so that the student can know whether I have actually understood the lecture or not. And fourth quadrant is the further reading, that if you really want to know more about the subject, in-depth knowledge you want to have, then further reading, there are links to that. So the teachers have to either record their own lectures or find out online resources. These could be MOOCs courses, these could be open education resources. And what is the difference between open education resources and MOOCs courses? Open education resources, which I was talking about, 25,000 modules in EPG Pathshala, that is open education resource. That is like any other video or text lying on the internet. There is no teacher assigned to that. There is no start date of the course. There is no end date of the course. There is no evaluation. There is no hand holding. There is no examination, nothing. It is only a resource which is lying on the internet and which can be used by the teachers for supplementary teaching, for flipped classroom teaching. So that is the open education resource. On the other hand, what is a MOOC? Massive open online courses, for which SWAYAM is a platform. SWAYAM is the India MOOCs platform. And in massive open online course, when the moment you say course, because open education resources, you are not using the word course. The moment you use the word course, it becomes a structured course. Means there is a start date of the course, there is an end date of the course. There is a teacher assigned to the course. There is a hand holding between the students and the teachers. Students can get their doubts cleared from the teacher. In between, the teacher will be giving some assignments to the teachers. They will to the students. They will be evaluated, and in the end of the course, there will be a examination, or maybe it can be a continuous assessment and evaluation throughout the course, but there will be an assessment and evaluation, and you will get a grade. In OER, you don't get any grade, you don't get any certificate, but here you will get a certificate that yes, you have passed this particular course with this grade. So that is the basic difference between OER and MOOCs. Now, this MOOCs can be used in both the ways. One way of using MOOCs is that you tell the students that these are the MOOCs courses which our university has adopted. So out of say 12 courses in the entire BSc program or MSc program, these 4 courses have to be done through the MOOCs on SWAYAM, because the UGC has said that 40% of the programs in any 40% of the courses in any program. There's a difference between program and course. Program is a full program. BA, BSc, BCom is a full program. Courses is papers within the program. So the UGC has that within a given program, you can do 40% of the courses, means 40% of the papers through SWAYAM on online mode. So if you use it in that manner, then the SWAYAM courses with those MOOCs courses will be used as a separate online course. But in the similar way, the way I was talking about open education resources, you can also use a MOOC for a face-to-face blended education, because in that case, the teacher will also enroll in that program along with the students, and both the the teachers will be doing that course. And in addition to whatever is done in the online course, there will be additional face-to-face classes in the classroom where the teachers will and the students will be discussing whatever has been learned during the course. So that can be a blended mode of way of teaching that particular program. So you're using a SWAYAM course, but it is not an online course, it is a blended course. But then you can also use SWAYAM as a complete online course. So if you want to adopt flipped classroom model, you have to identify the resources which are already on the net. It could be open education resource or it could be a course. So both ways, I mean, depends upon the choice of the teacher, what he wants to do. So you have to choose that course, tell the students, these are the links, come prepared, we'll discuss in the class. So that is the way the teaching has to be done. In future, the teacher has to work like a facilitator. They don't have to teach anymore. I mean, I have seen in my university when I used to go for a visit, for a round, very often I used to go, mostly I used to see teachers with a book or notes in their hands, and they were just reading from the notes and the students were just noting down. Gone are those days. It will not be done in future. I mean, this type of teaching will not be preferred neither by the students, nor by the university, nor by the teachers. Therefore, you have to change the way you have to teach. And for that matter, I feel that every university administrator, all the vice chancellors, should be arranging the training program for the teachers, because I never blame the teachers that they don't know how to teach using the flipped classroom models, because they are not trained to do that. So a lot of training has to be done for the teachers on how to teach in the blended form. If they do not learn how to teach in a blended form, they will obviously not be, they'll try to do something which they did during the COVID time, but that will not be the best way, that will not be the most effective way. But we want our teachers to be most effective teachers. Therefore, training is very, very important, that how to teach in a blended manner, how to be a facilitator rather than a information giver. So we don't have to give information. Similarly, when it comes to choosing a platform, because right now, see, we are talking on Google Meet. So Google Meet is basically, the word itself says that it is a meeting platform, like Zoom Meet. Zoom Meet is a meeting platform. But there are other platforms where the actual teaching takes place, where the activities can be done, where the where the activities can be done, where the assignments can be given, where the projects can be given, where there can be more interaction between the students and the teachers. One such platform is Microsoft Teams, but there are many, many more. Blackboard is there, Canvas is there, so many, many more platforms of this type are there. So the universities or the teacher first has to choose a platform, that what platform I want to use for teaching. They have to ensure that the adequate infrastructure is there in terms of say devices with the teacher as well as the students, in terms of connectivity and in terms of bandwidth, and also in terms of space, because many times when the students are studying at home, they do not have a separate space allocated to themselves for studying. So space. So the teacher has to first identify. I'll talk about the Saptapadi. Saptapadi means 7 steps which the teachers have to take if they really want to go in for online education. First is do the or these are the Saptapadi for the university, I should say, not for the teachers, but the teachers, if they have to become best teachers, that Saptapadi has to be followed by the university. First is create the infrastructure in terms of devices and all these things. Second is do the capacity building of the teachers. Capacity building of the teachers is very, very important. Third is identify the platform, which platform your university wants to use, because all the platforms are not free, you have to pay for it. So you can be having 1 or 2 or 3 platforms, but of course the cost will be associated with it. So, and then for every platform you have to give training to the teachers also. So it will be better if the university chooses 1 or 2 platforms which it will be using for imparting training to the teachers. And then the teachers have to identify the e-resources which they will be using for teaching the students. That has to be done by the individual teachers. In my university, I used to tell the teachers to give a lesson plan in the beginning of the program, means what you will be teaching on what date, along with the further references. Similarly, now if the university wants, they can see, okay, tell us the resources which you are giving to the student. This is only to ensure that this is done, because there are some teachers who are very diligent, who will do it very effectively. There are some who will think, okay, let us do. I mean, there are all types of teachers. So therefore, resources have to be identified. And then very important question which comes is assessment and evaluation. Again, you'll understand that when this COVID stuck, having this 3-hour examination at the end of the semester became a nightmare. It was so difficult. Offline, we could not invite. Online, there were issues with regard to, say, availability of resources, online resources or infrastructure. Therefore, it was a nightmare. So the policy also mentioned about the continuous assessment and evaluation of the students based on multiple methods. I mean, there could be so many things. It could be activities, it could be projects, it could be group discussions, it could be assignments, it could be small quizzes, it could be face-to-face interviews, quizzes. I mean, so many methods are there of evaluating the students throughout the semester. So why should we be depending upon the end semester examination? But again, for adopting all these methods, you have to be very, very apt with the technology, because all these methods in future, because we are talking about blended education, so in future technology will be used to a large extent in assessing and evaluating the students. Similarly, the policy also talks about that students should be learning by doing. So only classroom teaching is not enough. They should be learning by doing in a actual working condition. So for that, the suggestion was that in every semester break, means after every semester there's a break. During that break, the student should be doing some internship. Until now, it is only limited to engineering students or maybe law students. But the policy says for every student, whether it's a BA student, BCom student, languages student, social sciences, commerce, history, economics, every student should be doing an internship, and the university has to identify the best internship for different types of students and then have an internship bank. So there also the teachers have to work on creating an internship bank where you can be sending your teachers for internship. And then right now, maybe because of COVID, there are many online internship offers available. So online internship, and then lastly, two more things, steps. One is collaboration. See, today is not the world of doing teaching in a standalone manner. You need to have a lot of collaboration. So again, the collaborations have been made easier and cost effective after this COVID, because many people have explored the online mode. So you please try to explore collaborations with many national or international universities so that you can give the best to the students. So at AIU level also we are trying to have we are calling it AIU International Collaboration Portal, AIU Collaboration Portal, where we are requesting the universities that whatever you are best at, fill in our portal, so that any other university which wants to collaborate with you knows that where you are the best and they can collaborate with you. Similarly, for online training of the teachers, AIU has partnered with Quaspir, which is a UK based company. And if you go to AIU website, you will see a platform called QuedX. So in that QuedX, there are 40-50 courses, online courses, which you can be doing to improve your effectiveness in online teaching. It ranges from a lot of things. I mean, writing an impactful research project, how to do the instructional designing, how to do a good communication skills, for how to engage the students. So like this, many courses are there. So if you want, you can do those courses also. And lastly, after collaboration, I will come to placement of the students. Again, because of this COVID time, many of the students, many of the companies could not come to the universities for placement of students, but then there are companies who are offering online placements. The artificial intelligence is used in these platforms in which the students are supposed to send CVs to that company on their online CVs, and the sort of robot in the company matches the CV of the student with the many jobs offers which are there, and then the robot only sends an interview call to the student, and the student, if he likes, he says yes, and then the interview is fixed online. If the student says no, then the robot searches for a second job. So these type of facilities are there. So the teachers should be aware of such type of things, make use of them, and then take care of the students right from the admission till the placement of the student. So unless these teachers do this and impart quality education to the students, the demographic dividend which we keep on boasting of will go away, will go waste, and we will not be able to reap dividend out of it. So my earnest appeal to all the teachers, we have to change our teaching methods. We have to follow the best teaching practices of the world. We have to go in for blended education. We have to go in for blended assessment and evaluation. And I mean, technology has to be used to a large extent if we really want to sort of become future leaders of the world in higher education. If we really want to become a Vishwa Guru, which we are wanting to become once again. So with this, all the best to all the teachers who are attending this program. And if there are some questions, I am ready to take them. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, madam. Actually, you have given the whole gamut of refresher course to the students, to the participants. For your information, ma'am, there are 407 participants at this moment. Okay. And from Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, and all other northeastern states, including Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Daman, Diu, and all other states. And you have really given them a total refreshing view of the present education. So I think these participants might have written the points which you have talked as in continuation to our VC, Professor Dhruva Bhattacharya, talking about the economic bank of credit and with the new economic new education policy, and then also, of course, your pet area about blended and hybrid mode of education, as you have differentiated between these two, about the flipped classroom, the system, difference of outcome-based education, output, and also the challenges of the regarding the difference between the OER and the MOOCs. Then the initiative which you had taken in UGC as the additional secretary, the same is going on till this semester. Also, we have got those 43 non-technical PG, which you started in 2018. It was a great challenge that you took. I still remember the quality which you ensured, because SIAM has been the new entry as far as the Government of India initiative in comparison to the Coursera, edX, which the international field we have. But probably SIAM is playing its role. Saptapadi is it's a reference that the teachers should also know. And of course, in reference to the AI, etc. Ma'am, really, it has been a great time to listen to you, and hope the participants will be much benefited for your lecture. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for joining us in this session. Thank you.
So can I leave, or there will be some questions?
Ma'am, actually, in inaugural session, we are not making it open for questions. If there is any question, ma'am, they will put it in the Google Classroom, because all candidates have joined in the Google Classroom. So you'll definitely have your input if there is something that comes from them. Okay, ma'am? Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. There is right now no question, only appreciating you for your enriching speech towards the participants. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Iqbal Hussain Ahmed, Assistant Professor, Teaching Learning Center, will explain about the program standard operating procedures. I request Iqbal to deliver his address.
Honorable chief guest of this program, Dr. Pankaj Mittal, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Dhruva Kumar Bhattacharya, respected Director, Deputy Director of TLC, and my colleague, Dr. Sapna Bora, and my esteemed colleagues from across the country. So now I'm going to show briefly the SOP, or standard operating procedure, of this program. I'm going to share my screen here. So this is the procedure for this entire refresher course. This is, as you know, this is going to be fully online, and there is no option for any physical mode. So the program will be managed through Google Classroom, of which you are already plus. You are a member of this Google Classroom already. Most of you have joined. So live sessions will be broadcasted through YouTube live streaming. Since we have a large number of participants, this is going to be streamed. All the live sessions will be streamed through YouTube Live, and the link will be provided before each live session. For live interactions during the technical sessions with the resource person, we'll share the Google Meet link before the interactive session at the end of the technical session. In this regard, the following points may be noted. All participants must join the specific Google Classroom created for the program, and participants must not unenroll from the classroom until the program certificates are distributed. If a participant wants to leave the program, she or he will do so by sending a formal email to us. Participants shall use their personal Gmail account created in their own name to join the classroom. So we have seen that sometimes you join the classroom from your partner's account or friend's account or account created in another name. That creates a difficulty for us in assessing your participation and also your assignment, submission, etc. So please stick to one account, which is your personal account. It is also compulsory for all the participants to actively participate in all the sessions. While online live classes should be attended as per schedule, pre-recorded sessions may be attended in self-paced manner. So if we share the pre-recorded session in the afternoon, you can watch the videos in the evening also. But it is desired that you will finish watching these videos before next day's sessions are commenced. During live streaming of live online sessions, participants can write their questions, comments in the YouTube live chat box, which will be then forwarded to the resource person. They can also comment in the Google Classroom. And as you know, there will be live interactive sessions at the end of technical session, for which we'll open the Google Meet link for a short while, and you can join on a first come first basis. So a Telegram group is created for specifically these participants of this program for convenient communication. So if you find any difficulty with the program, joining the program, you can share those in the Telegram group. But we request you not to post anything personal or anything that is not related to the program. The program will be conducted as per official schedule. The program schedule shall be shared with the participants in advance, which we have already done. If there is any change in the schedule, we shall inform you in advance. All refresher courses shall have sufficient session on ICT-based teaching, because this is recommended by UGC that all such programs shall have some course sessions on ICT. TLC2 shall follow UGC norms, Ministry of Education norms, and Tezpur University norms to maintain the standard of the program. Graded certificates will be issued to all successful participants. For grading, we will follow the UGC model. So grading will be awarded on the basis of 100 points distributed as follows. Here, this distribution is adjusted for our convenience of the program, and also for convenience in terms of online program, and this is permitted by UGC Regulation 2019. So there will be classroom response points of 20 points. So this will be measured through attendance register or through per session feedback. We're going to take feedback on each and every technical session, and there we are going to measure your attendance. Then there will be 2 assignments of 20 points each. One assignment will be compulsorily on ICT, and the other assignment will be decided by any resource person. If there is more than 2 assignments, you will have an option to choose between between these 3, among these 3. And finally, there will be one objective test of 40 points. So grading will be done in the following manner. If you get 80% and above, you will get A grade. 70% and less than but equal to 84%, then you get A. If you get 60% to less than or equal to 69%, you will get B. And if you get 50% to less than or equal to 59%, you will get C grade. And below 49% will be F grade. So as per UGC norms, if you get F grade, you will have to repeat the program maybe in another center or in the same center in future. So these are our standard operating procedures. This will be shared in the classroom also, and also in the Telegram group. You can go through the SOP, and you'll have to abide by this procedure. Thank you all. Over to Shopna.
Thank you, Iqbal, for stating the standard operating procedure in front of all the participants. Now we have come to the closing of our inaugural session. And here I would like to first offer our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Dhruva Kumar Bhattacharya sir, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor of Tezpur University, for giving his valuable time and for his enriching speech towards the participants and expressing the challenges and the need of the hour that we have to adapt in these online mode of teaching learning. Next, we would like to thank Dr. Pankaj Mittal, who is also was present in inaugural session, and also for expressing the challenges before the teachers in online teaching. So we are very much indebted to you, ma'am. We'd like to thank Tezpur University Authority for giving us the permission to perform this task, without whose assistance it could not have been possible. We'd like to thank our esteemed participants across the country who are now in live with us in this platform, and who are watching the live streaming in YouTube. And we hope that, we believe that they will be benefited from this interdisciplinary refresher course. They will be able to enhance their knowledge by the different interactions and discussion with resource persons. As my colleague Iqbal has said, that the 15 minutes will be open for all to discussion and interaction with the resource person regarding the particular material that will be discussed in the coming sessions. We hope all will have a very fruitful time with us, and very soon we will start the next session where Professor Amarjyoti Chaudhary will take the first technical session. We will hope that you will have a very happy time with us, and you will be successful in completing this interdisciplinary refresher course on curriculum and pedagogy. With these words, and thanking all of you, and with this due permission from Director Teaching Learning Center, we'd like to conclude this inaugural session here. Stay connected with the next link that we will going to provide. With the same link, we will start the session within a few minutes. Thanking you all.
worked with you, we know how punctual are you. So that's why we want to start at 12:30. All of tension hoy gosil, sir, because
No.
the
It's not
Secretary
like-
General, she was taking some time and all of.
Yeah. No, with big people, you always have to, attend.
No,
I mean,
sir, we appreciate your things. No, for last few years we have learned so many things from you. So nice, sir. Sapna 12:30 hobo wala hai. So over to Sapna, sir.
Hi, sir. We'll start. So Iqbal is starting the YouTube streaming, then I'm going to start.
Okay, no problem.
Good morning, one and all present here in the live streaming with us. Would like to start our first technical session. And for this session, we have invited Professor Amarjyoti Chaudhary, who is a renowned personality not only of Assam, but also of India. Professor Amarjyoti Chaudhary is a former Vice Chancellor of Guwahati University and a former Pro-Vice Chancellor of Tezpur University. After superannuation from Tezpur University, he occupied the C.V. Raman Chair Professor of Applied Physics and later that of Vice Chancellor of University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. He was also the Vice Chancellor of Assam Downtown University and also served as the editor of renowned Assamese daily Dainik Assam, and he is also a regular columnist in Assamese daily newspapers. We are very happy to welcome you, sir, to this platform. And we'd like to request you to start the session on effective qualities of teacher. Sir, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Swapna. I am particularly delighted that I have been able to join Teaching Learning Center of Tezpur University after quite a long gap and interact with you on the theme of qualities of effective teachers. And I have been told that already 407 participants have joined this program, and average age of the young teachers who have joined this will be around 35, 36 if we take an average. And so they will be occupying the university setup or the other institutional setup for another 30, 35 years. So they are in effect, they will be leading the country in the mental sphere over the next 35 years or so. And as such, I'm very privileged to be interacting with them. And we go to the second and the third slide, maybe the third slide. I'll be talking on qualities of, this is the one I would like to dwell upon. The qualities of effective teachers. And at the beginning, I urge you all to recall your favorite teacher and what are the images that come flooding in your mind. I'm sure it is one of awe and admiration for your teacher, because as we know, a teacher is, to us, is knowledge, skill, value, enthusiasm, motivation, and overall a vision, total vision. So that is why we always look up to our teacher. I still remember that because it is a discussion on teachers, effective teachers. So I would like to illustrate with certain stories in between. And I remember that when I was joined Guwahati University as a reader, which is the equivalent of today's associate professor, I joined in '86 as a reader. And around, I guess, in '87, one day I was coming out from my department quite late because we had to take practical examination of our students. And as usual, there was some kind of delay. And by the time we came out, it was quite evening, the shades of evening coming in. And I, along with a colleague of mine, was coming along in a car and back home. And we started our journey from the university, that department, towards our house. As we started, we could see a tall figure coming, and there was a slight drizzle, and he was coming. There was no umbrella, and he was almost wet, obviously. And when we came nearer to him, we could see that it was Professor Muhammad Tahir, and a very senior professor in the Department of Geography of Gaunt University. And because he's very senior, he's known to us. And so I asked my fellow colleague who was driving the car to stop it, and so that we can interact with him. So when we stopped the car, we asked him, can we give you a lift back home or wherever you want to go? No, he was very polite, and he would say that, no, I would just drop into the next hostel. Just because of curiosity, I asked him, why do you want to go to hostel? Is there some function at this late hour? Then he said, no, because one of my students, this afternoon, when we were discussing certain topic, he asked me about a book. And somehow I misplaced the book. I did not keep it at department. I placed it in my home. So only now I have been able to find. So I'm coming to give the book to him so that he can read. You could see it was drizzling, a teacher in the rains, and he was coming to give it to a student of his. And that was beyond the office hours, quite late in the evening. And I could see the commitment in his eyes. That is the kind of teacher that we look forward to. I also remember another story. We'll begin with stories and then slowly go into the deeper ideas. And I remember when we were children, I was attending a primary school in Guwahati. And we had this occasion of flag hoisting on the Independence Day. Those were the days when we used to come in, kurtas and pajamas, again, white khadi, absolutely khadi clad. And then our headmaster, he would unfurl our tricolor, and as he did, and after that he would give a speech, and then we will settle for our usual frolics and singing and dancing. But that day, when we were in class 2, suddenly a storm came, and it was pouring very heavily. And this teacher, or the headmaster of ours, he asked all other teachers and the students to go into the veranda. And because of his order, it was given as an order, we all rushed to the veranda, and we could see that he was holding the flag that was hoisted because it was raised on a bamboo, and it was going this way or other, fluttering in the wind. So that is why he was holding it like this for his dear life. And although we wanted to go and help him, he would not listen. He would send us back. And for 40 odd minutes or so, he was holding the flag in his bosom and kept the tricolor flying. And that was the kind of, he did not say one word that day about the tricolor. But we got our lessons for how to honor the tricolor. And these are the examples through which you may also have thousands of stories. We were all students at one point of time, and we have been blessed by the teachings of our teachers and also their personal messages that we have got through their actions. A teacher is a 24/7 teacher, and that is the example we get in these two examples. And the focus is on this teacher. We won't like to dissect him as such, But then we'd like to go into the qualities that make a great teacher. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, this one will illustrate what is a teacher, or who is a good teacher. I guess you have read Ben Okri, or at least you have heard the name Ben Okri. He's a Nigerian poet who got Booker Prize, and also a novelist. And in his book, The Freedom Artist, the question appears once again and again: who is a prisoner? That is the theme, and this question appears again and again. And throughout this our talk of ours, we'll also keep on asking, who is a teacher? We all know who constitutes a teacher, but just to be safe on our side, so that we go deal the problem academically, so we like to go in this way. So who is a teacher? Is merely passing on the information? Is a person who merely passes on the information, is he a teacher? He may be partially a teacher in that case, but not a full teacher. What are the additional things we want? Basically, a teacher has to arouse the curiosity. A teacher who can arouse the curiosity and keep the curiosity coming even in these years, when we are in the university level or college level, I think, or in the school level, if you can keep the curiosity going, then it's we say that he's a real teacher. And whatever a true teacher teaches, it breeds curiosity, and this curiosity goes on to bring another level of curiosity. You ask more questions, you get more answers, and more questions again, and this cycle repeats and repeats itself. And that is why it was Henry Adams who said, a teacher is someone who touches infinity. He touches infinity because of this cycle, infinite cycle that we are led to go through. So one clue we get that we need to work in a fashion that we will arouse curiosity amongst our students. We all know this, but we are merely repeating because I have been asked to dilate on these topics of qualities of effective teachers. So a teacher is someone who touches infinity. We go to the next one. Yes, here it is. I begin with the story. We will keep on going through stories, because that is true with these stories that we get to know about the qualities. We all know that our great Indian teacher, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, in whose memory we celebrate Teachers' Day. And in 1937, he delivered the Mastermind Lecture on Buddha, organized by the British Academy. It was not to be delivered by him, by someone else, but suddenly the person fell ill, and so the mantle fell on our great teacher, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. And he came in, and and if you can see the version of that in old videos, you can see how he aroused the curiosity of the audience and created one level of curiosity to the next level, created new questions, new pondering, new thoughts. And that is why we can, if we go through that, we immediately see the kind of a teacher that we look forward to. And in fact, at the end of the talk, the president of the academy, he summarized the talk, and then he said that we are looking for a mastermind. And he said that I little did realize that it would be a masterpiece on a mastermind by another mastermind. Another mastermind, that is, of course, Buddha was a mastermind. Then Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan was speaking on Buddha's ideals, and the masterpiece, the talk that he delivered was a masterpiece. So this is how a teacher suddenly changes the atmosphere. Yeah, we go to the next one. True, we have many more masterminds amongst us, the likes of Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Sankardev. Well, we are referring to these because many people have many new ideas. But if you are a good teacher, you have to be able to convince your ideas, convince others through your ideas. only then you rise to the level of a teacher, good teacher. And we also had in India the great teachers like Ashutosh Mukherjee, Professor Mudalia, Professor Kothari, or Professor K.K. Hendick, whom we did not have the opportunity of going through, but we have heard how he used to come to his lectures whenever he used to lectures. And for all of them, learning was a mission. Teaching learning was a mission for them. 24/7, all the time, they were busy with this. All of them had new ideas, and they were revolutionary new ideas, and they could convince others that these are the ideas that needs to be followed. And on top of it, they had infinite love for the students. And that is why, even if some students were weak, some students could not go with the pace of the other students, they were extra careful for the students. And that showed the greatness of a teacher that they were. And for them, teaching and learning was a part of their revolution, a totality. But somehow people say nowadays that that total vision is somewhat lacking in some of us. It's very unfortunate if it has happened, but then we would like to refine it so that we all look forward to the day when we can claim ourselves that, yes, we have again gone back to that stage. Can we go to the next one? Let us bow to the inspiring these teachers like this and ask, what were the things, living, loving, and learning? What are all these great teachers were doing? And what were they in essence? Essentially, they were like fire that lighted up thousands of lamps. And the fire in them was pure, unadulterated, and strong. So new ideas. And like sculptors of the young mind, they produced in such a way that the new ideas developed also among the young minds. And they also developed into a fully total personality. And if there were something wrong, that when I say wrong, that is something not coming as it was desired, then they would like to repair, then they like to prepare and create ideas or opportunities in such a way that there was a kind of, that is why that the students or the teachers, they all became gradually comrades, and they walked hand in hand to the one level and to the next level of ideas. And this is the way they walked through. And that is why we call them great revolutionaries. Can we go to the next slide, please? So what are the qualities of an effective teacher? So we would like to find out. I, being a teacher, when I was, I'm still, I like to teach, and occasionally. And when I was a teacher, full-time teacher, it was nothing like, I mean, the kind of happiness that you gather is nothing like that. And I was trying to find out what are the qualities necessary for them so that I can also aspire to be a reasonably good teacher. So I prepared my own alphabet of ideas, A, B, C, D, in this way. And what are the qualities needed? And the first A of that alphabet of teaching was aid the mind. Aid, A-I-D, aid the mind. A teacher aids the mind. And in fact, Jesus is famously once said that prepare the soil. When he said prepare the soil, it does not mean actually preparing the soil itself, preparing the mind. How we could prepare the mind so that new things, new ideas could germinate. And that is the sign of a true teacher. Muhammad also had powerfully heaped or harped on these ideas. He used to say that there is a story in Quran, in 96 surah number 96, there's a portion when God comes to Muhammad and tells him one word, one very specific word, Ikra. Ikra means read. Okay? Read. So this reading, that is catering to the curiosity, is the thing that a teacher needs to do. Towards that, teacher must have an analytic approach. He will have to analyze things and a question is aroused, and it is not enough to ask the question and leave it at that. Develop it, go deeper and deeper into it. So you will have to have an analytic mind, a thorough command of the field, so you know what is the existing level of knowledge, so that you can add to it, and contrasting capacity for the implications of various ideas and thoughts, a sense of the field in the past, present, and future directions. All these you must have. Then only you can actually gauge what is the kind of new knowledge that you would like to add. And these are very important thoughts. So, so this is what is important. And we go to so first thing that a teacher needs to do is to aid the mind, help the student to think, so that and ask questions. And if we ask questions, we need to encourage so that his ideas gets more and more encouraged. And he is truly a learner, and he truly nurses his own curiosity. Next one. And I have already told about this preparation of the mind. And here, what we call evaluation and teaching and evaluation, they go hand in hand. For example, Dronacharya observed how Kauravas and the Pandavas focused on the target bird. You remember target bird? And they require long period of observation and action. He used, if you recall, he constantly used to ask, what do you see there? Is the bird moving? Is the bird stationary? Are the leaves fluttering around it? So these are the questions that you need to ask in order to appreciate the kind, so to place the target bird in its proper perspective. So these are the things that you need to do. So A, aid the mind. This is the way you aid the mind and help it to develop. B, then we come to B. B is build the basics. It has the capacity to build the basics. A teacher must have the capacity to build the basics, the fundamental through examples, case studies, demonstrations, or the experimentations in the classroom. Doesn't begin at a level which is beyond the student. We'll always have to come down to the level of a student and bring in activities. For example, if we can go to the next slide, we'll have to be slightly rushed through. Once a lady came to Buddha with a dead son, and we know that she pleaded with Buddha, give back life to my son. This was the request. Then Buddha said, bring me a morsel of rice from a household where nobody has died, and I will give life to your son. So the lady moved from house to house, but she failed to find a single household where there is no death. Finally, it dawned upon that lady that death is inevitable. So she gave up pleading for her son's life. This was the way how Buddha engaged her in teaching learning process. So this is how we need to give examples, create examples, and go through the process, so that it's a learning process, not merely statements from a teacher. So the teaching learning has to go through this process of building the basics. Next is the crack the wall. When we say crack the wall, what is the crack the wall? Because we are put in a classroom. I still remember when I was a young child and I was put in the classroom, I almost rebelled. I didn't want to listen to what the teacher was saying, because from the nature, he has put me in a classroom. Rabindranath also said that our classrooms wean away our lives from nature, takes us away from nature and takes us away from reality, creates an artificial reality. But you will have to infuse that in that artificial reality that you create inside the four walls of the classroom. You will have to infuse life. You will have to break the walls so that the nature comes in. Everything that is outside, left outside, or the history. So whenever you teach history, Ashoka must walking through your classroom. That is the kind of thing. If you do it, if you can generate it, that is the sign of a great teacher. Next one. Yeah, I have already explained it. Here, I would like to tell another story, as because I still have about 20 minutes, so I will keep to that time, and then questions, and we will like to interact with our distinguished teachers. So crack the wall. When he said we'll have to explain it clearly, we'll have to prepare it well, think it ahead, prepare it well, make difficult topics easy to understand. We'll have to use examples. Okay, I will, and make it more relevant. I will, when there's this question of relevance, one story comes to my mind often. Once I went to a place called Duni in Darang district, and a group of cultivators invited me for lunch. And that was very unusual, but somehow they felt that I was a teacher in Tezpur University at the time, and they invited me there. So I went there, and we had lunch. And then one cultivator amongst them, he came slowly towards me and asked me, "Can I have some words with you?" Of course, you can have. Then he said, "I have a son who has been taught in the university, and he has passed. He has also got a job. So that way, nothing to complain. But when we sent my son to the university, it is not that I only sent him. The entire community paid for his fees and other things. So we sent him together, and we sent him so that he can come back and give us advice on how to make our cultivation better. So whether to use fertilizers or not. But somehow he has failed to give us practical answers. It's not that he doesn't try. He tries. He often looks into books. He often looks into the internet. He also discusses with his fellow colleagues, students. But then when we need to do something, we fail to get a concrete answer from him. So what do we do? Or is it that your university, when it says that, it does not mean my university, universities in general, do we teach relevant things in universities? This is the question that normally people ask. So we need to be careful about what we teach. And so the things we teach are meaningful to our students. The syllabus itself doesn't make things more relevant. Inside the relevant, it is the duty of a teacher to use the subject or use the topic so to make it more relevant. So when we do that, then we are a good teacher. So crack the wall and connect and go to D. There the syllabus. Next slide, please. Yeah, there the syllabus. What is to be taught? So syllabus more or less gives us the idea, some sort of idea that these are the things to be taught. But is syllabus enough? We need to ask ourselves. For example, when I teach physics in college or in university level, for that matter, and we know that in every year in the month of October, Nobel Prizes in physics is announced. If I do not tell my students what is the theme for which Nobel Prize is awarded this year, and not just by repeating the words, but explaining the thing. If I do not explain the thing, the physics of it, then am I a good teacher? Certainly I am not. So yes, syllabus gives us the guide, but then we will have to cross the limit also of the syllabus. Yes, we know that there is also time constraint, but somehow we need to do this. And somehow we need to prepare our syllabus in such a way that nowadays the idea of some portions which will be given to the students for studying, and they will come and prepare and give it in the class together so that things can be somehow rushed through. Okay, so there the syllabus. Then we go to the next one. I have already told you. And in the last slide, I forgot to tell you about one thing. In 1860, there was a debate called Oxford debate. And this Oxford debate was on, at that time, the Charles Darwin's Origin of Species, that book came out, and there was quite a lot of turbulence in those days because of the idea in the world of ideas, because it has brought a lot of things which were not earlier believed to be so. So, and it was in direct confrontation with some of the ideas that Charles did. So that is why. So, which one to believe? The ideas brought forward by science, or the ideas propagated by the church? So this was the question that naturally came to the society. Then what Oxford University did was to organize a debate, a open debate, where this was discussed. Thomas Huxley famously was on the defense of this idea of origin of species, and there was Archbishop Wilberforce, which was on the other side, and there was a discussion, and they came to some, although many people say that there was no conclusions, but then the indications were enough that what was proposed in the origin of species, more or less, it carried more weight. So that is how a university, or a teaching place, or a teacher, a collection of society. What is a university? University is a collection of teachers, society of teachers, who opens up to the society and brings knowledge, makes it relevant to the society. So that is one good thing. And you must have also seen a film called Beautiful Mind, when there is this professor called John Nash, and he gets new ideas, but as he was teaching at Princeton, he suddenly develops mental illness. He had some difficulties of teaching, but then the university supported him throughout this period. And when he came out of his illness, he was immediately restored. He started teaching. So this was a process. Why I'm repeating this story? It's because the conditions must also be such that the teacher needs to be held up, or needs to be supported by the society in such a way that he doesn't have to think about others, but he has to think about only the ideas, new practicals, new experimentations. These are the things, new patents, so that he can enrich the society, enrich the country. So these are the things that he needs to do. Okay, next one. Eases off with tools. So he uses tools. For example, we are doing it online, although we cannot meet, and this is a very difficult situation, pandemic situation, but still it's going on because of the power of technology. Next one, please. This I have already told. Dronacharya used to use toy birds, and example, how teaching aids were used earlier also. Nowadays also use teaching aids, and internet has coming in very strongly, and also we can now whenever we teach, we can also invite teachers from the famous universities, ask them to, when we have personal collaboration or personal relation with someone, big one. So we can always invite them to our classes through these, and ask them to be a part of the students, so that student feels more encouraged. Yeah, next one. Feel the student. This is the most important part. Actually, this is somewhat different, but actually in a normal course, I like to, that is what we have been taught, that whenever you teach, you need to see whom you are addressing. Today, I'm fortunately addressing some of the great minds who will be ruling the intellectual scene for the coming 35 years at least, if not more. So these new strong minds, these intellectuals, and we need to have an interaction with them before we start to interact. Okay, so that we will do during the process of interaction of 15 minutes. Okay. Then goes for totality. So you will have to feel the students. You will have to have feel their weaknesses, their strength, and we will have to have enough, infinite love for them. A teacher cannot be a teacher unless he has infinite love for his students. So a student may make 1,000 mistakes, but still we have to carry on. We have to endure it because this is our duty that this society has thrust upon us. And then the goals for totality. So this is very important. Goals for totality means we often say about holistic teaching. What is holistic teaching? That I will illustrate with another story and then I will come to an end. Holistic teaching is we had a teacher. When we were in class 5, we had a teacher who used to teach us geography and mathematics. He was a wonderful mathematics teacher. And he also used to teach us geography. And he would have the map of Europe at his back. And there would be a big cane. And through this cane, he would ask, where is Budapest, for example? So we didn't know when we looked up to him and he would put the cane like this and push it back and put it exactly on the back where the Budapest was. And we were mesmerized how he did it. This was his way of attracting students. And then he was teaching, mind you, he was teaching in Budapest. So he showed us where Budapest is. And he showed us that Danube flows through it. So on one side there is Buda, on the other side there is Pest. Danube flows through it. It is blue. That's why Johann Strauss, one musical composer, very well known, he composed a music called Blue Danube. And our teacher, he was a dhoti-clad teacher who was in what was called a normal pass. That means he didn't go for higher degrees, but then he had this imagination to bring in that piece of music to the classroom, and he used to play it so that he encourages our curiosity. So this is the true sign of a teacher, to holistic teaching. When you teach geography, whenever you teach sociology, whenever you teach physics, you have to cross the limits. That is why interdisciplinary teaching has been given so much of importance nowadays. We go to the next one very quickly. We'll go through harness empathy, and finally we'll have to have our students, or even though we want to give them special knowledge in specific disciplines, but yet our main aim is to make them finest human beings. So we'll have to arouse empathy in them through our action. A teacher has to be an example. He has to set an example. He has so many duties. He has to think, he has to research, he has to create pageants, he has to show it to the students, show it to the society, and also harness empathy. And finally, that is harness empathy. Then finally, next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, inspire. He has to inspire. I inspire immensely, and J judges himself. Next slide. Judges oneself very critically. A teacher has to constantly criticize himself. You will all agree that we are not equally bright every day. Whenever we go to classrooms, some days are very bright. We can ourselves feel that, yes, today I have taught a very good lesson. When I covered the lessons, everybody was happy. And everybody listened. Some days it's not so. But then, what is the reason why we fail to inspire the students that day? These are the questions we need to ask. And these are the qualities that make a good teacher. And it's the flag of teaching, learning, evaluation. When you say, go on you teach and you also evaluate continuously, a continuous cycle, continuous evaluation. And that is the way you do not evaluate the student, you also simultaneously evaluate yourself, whether your teaching has been good. So these type of teaching, this type of critical judgment on yourself is very much necessary. And if we can go ahead with all these, then we are good teachers. These are the essential qualities of good teachers. And how these qualities are to be promoted, these will be taught or these will be discussed when we go through the new education policy, for example. and the facets, different facets of it. But these are the basic ideas upon which we need to build upon. And so for 45 minutes, it was kind of monologue. Now we like to interact with the bright minds of the future.
Some of the participants have joined now.
Yeah.
So this is open for discussions. We will also take questions from YouTube streaming who are watching the live streaming. Yeah. And more than 40 participants have joined. So this session is open for discussion. You can ask your questions by unmuting your microphone or writing in the chat box. Participants, please ask your questions by unmuting your microphone. Sir, there is one question in YouTube live streaming. I would like to read the question. Please share your views on the extent of autonomy offered to the affiliated colleges for framing the syllabus and examinations.
Yeah, nowadays, so that is, the topic that has been discussed again and again. And we all believe that the teachers should have the independence to frame their own syllabus. And of course, a minimum thing that has been prescribed by the university that needs to be followed. And on top of it, or side by side, if new ideas are to be brought in. So a teacher needs to have an autonomy. And it is with this idea that the new education policy wants to make every college an autonomous college or a university. So this is the idea, that teachers will have fundamentally, they will have the independence, the freedom to bring in new ideas, their own ideas. This is what happens actually in the West, we have seen, and it has played a big part in promoting new ideas, creating new research environment, and we have seen that some of the teachers have got ingenious ideas. Whenever I go to colleges for one function or another, I get ideas. I'm dumbstruck somehow. How could this idea come to your mind? And some scientists, some young engineers, some from sociologists, all these have fantastic ideas, and they can groom these ideas by developing their syllabus. So this is the idea that, yes, well, I fully support this idea that there should be autonomy. Yes.
Any questions from the participants? Subhas Chandra Sahu in YouTube streaming is asking, according to you, online teaching or offline teaching is more powerful?
Teacher, whenever, of course, I would like to say that there is nothing like a teacher in a classroom. You cannot replace him. But then this is an exceptional situation, a pandemic situation, and we need to carry on our teaching. Although this pandemic is slowly playing on us. So because of that, a very special arrangement of online teaching is also being arranged. Online teaching, in fact, offline teaching and online teachings are complementary, they add to each other. And I believe that both has got its own advantages. And these needs to be simultaneously complemented with each other, and so that we get a better opportunity. For example, we can, if we use online, we can use internet, we can use outside people, share their views, everything can be done. And offline classroom is also very important, because personal things, even students at the PG level I have seen, they would like to have personal interaction with teachers, and this is very important. And so I believe this is not a case of which is better. These are both one supplementing the other.
What is a holistic teaching, sir? One is asking, Dipen Patra.
Yeah, holistic teaching means something where problems in life do not come as a problem of physics or chemistry or mathematics or geology or sociology or history, for that matter. It comes as a combination of all these. And we know that it's not possible to know everything, but then at least a flair so that we can interact with the students or our teachers of, very often a teacher of science earlier, they would not talk to a teacher of a coming from arts for discipline. For nowadays, by discussion and some kind of interdisciplinary discussion, and this is very important to be for
Hello,
this
sir.
purpose. So, and
Namaste,
yes,
sir, madam. Hello, namaste, sir.
yes,
Sir,
yes.
yeah, I have a query. My query is as a teacher of political science. I'm a
Right.
assistant professor of political science. So as a teacher
Yes.
of political science, how can I be an effective teacher? Let us say, how can I inspire my students and all? As a teacher of political science, how can I inspire my students? Could you get it, sir?
Yes, sir. Political science is a very important area of our study, and we know that it covers with the how the administration and how the political system of the country runs, and it is the political things of the country that actually determines the how people's lives are affected in the coming years. So that is why we need to build a group of politicians who can actually cater to the needs of the society. I'm not saying that the present breed doesn't. There are some good politicians, some have not been able to contribute to the extent that we want. But then, as a political teacher, as a Chanakya, I would say, as Chanakya used to teach, he used to always think of the good of the state or the country as a whole, and how to promote cohesiveness of ideas and actions, and what are the actions to be given more importance, what are the aspects of political theories that needs to be given more prominence. These are the ideas that you can tell to your students. So there in academics you teach everything. Let me not go into detail because that will be doing injustice to the others.
Yes, sir.
But this is what I would like to say briefly.
Yeah, so many questions in chat
I have
box.
a supplementary question also, madam. I have a supplementary question also. Supplementary additional question.
Yeah.
Sir,
Thanks to
is it
Adit.
allowed,
So
madam?
there are so many questions are there in our chat box. We would like to refer to those questions now. How important is it for teachers to keep themselves updated and abreast with the latest in their respective fields? Are mandatory courses to be taken by faculties practically helpful in making better?
Enough. I got the first line. Second line I didn't get.
Okay. How important is it for teachers to keep themselves updated and abreast with the latest and in their respective fields? Are mandatory courses to be taken by faculties practically helpful in making better?
First of all, a teacher has to keep himself abreast with the whatever has happened, new things have happened in his or her own field. That is very much necessary, and that is why I refer to this idea of, for example, when I teach physics, I need also to teach for at least to the students of college or the university. What is the aspect for which Nobel Prize brings to the title of the area, but then going deep into it, what are the ideas involved? So if we have to talk in that level, in that aspect, then we need to keep ourselves abreast with what is happening in the area. And mandatory courses are of course necessary. These mandatory courses, or whatever we call core courses, these are the basic building blocks of our knowledge. So it is very important. And in fact, when we had our days at our university as a student, as a postgraduate student, the basic or the core physics portion or the core of subjects were always taught by very versatile teachers, so that they can bring in the new ideas, that they can show the connections between the core ideas, so that it gradually flowers and gradually you see the entirety of the knowledge that is in that particular field.
I have a second question, madam. Not exactly second question, supplementary question, with permission granted, madam.
Okay, please.
Supplementary question to earlier question. Earlier, I asked one question. As a supplementary to that, I need to ask one more.
Okay, please go on. We have a very late time. Please go on.
Madam?
Yes, please go on. Please ask your question.
Yes, sir. My supplementary question is that whether my role as a teacher of political science is totally different from those of education, sports, or physics like that. Nah? So I mean to say, how can I be still like a role model for my students? How can I be how can I stay as a role model for my students? So to elaborate it, whether my role will be different from other teachers, like those of education teacher, physics teacher, sport teacher, or whatever, or it will be same only.
All teachers have the same role model, basically. The area simply is different. So in that area, you need to have excellent ideas, excellent building, core ideas, that you need to grasp the core ideas. You must have excellent communication skills so that you can communicate to the students. And also you will have to have the empathy, so that if there is a weak student, so that you can also give him extra time so that he can take advantage of the care that you have provided, so that he can rise to greater heights.
Thank you, sir. Satisfied. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
One question from Mohammad Imtiaz Khan. How do you manage time for teaching with wonderful examples when the syllabus itself is so vast?
Yes, that is true. But then, as per the new education policy, syllabus is being reframed, and gradually the outer flaps or the additional muscles which were earlier there, most of them have been removed, and I think we will get a very pruned syllabus, and there will also be less number of holidays. And even if we have holidays, the idea is that the same. My question is this: that's if we talk about syllabus, same set of syllabus, if you give it to IIT, they more or less complete in some amount of time. And when they do it fully. So if we wish, we can really, by taking extra classes, we can complete those things. So suppose we miss one class one day, we can make up for it and take extra classes, so that the portion that has been left out can be covered. So it's not very easy to give a general set of rules, but these are the ideas on which we must build up our teaching, learning scheme.
So the next question is, suggest some tips on motivating young students specifically during this pandemic times.
During pandemics, we have seen that it is because the teacher is basically away from the class. It is creating problem. And that shows how important it is for the teacher to be present. And whenever teacher is present, he creates a kind of confidence building. He's like a confidence building measure itself, a teacher. And so when he's away from the classroom, that creates problem. So in pandemic, we need to recreate that inspiration, and that inspiration can be either through a story or taking extra care for the student. For example, if we call him or her, or ask him if she is finding any portion difficult, and if she is finding anything difficult, trying to explain it to her or him, and explaining how he should proceed, how to use the online classes, how to use it effectively. These are the things that we need to be telling them constantly, and this gives them an extra confidence, which they otherwise derive from the classes, actual real classes. So that is why it is very important that we do inspire in this fashion and motivate them in this way.
So the next question from Mr. Avinas is, what should be the role of government to make the quality of online education more effective and accessible to all the students, specifically students from the areas where internet facilities are very poor?
I have seen that it is basically through the efforts of the teachers that online education system has grown over the last year. And basically, when last time pandemic was on the rise, it is mostly through the efforts of teachers that it first came into being. So I congratulate the teachers, and but then they would also need to take more extra care so that it becomes more exciting, so that they can hold the students in attraction for 45 minutes or 1 hour, the duration of the class. And similarly, the government also should have seen that pandemic is now a recurring theme, and it keeps on coming. So for the few, and that we need to carry on online education again and again. And in view of that, it is for the, and also it is better for the whole country if we can cover the entire country through communication network, and that way our development programs will also be bolstered. So that is why it is our request as a teacher that network through the entire system of the country should be developed. This will also be very handy in development programs. And also we request that whenever it is absolutely necessary, that some students do not have a laptop or a mobile because of financial conditions, the university or the college or the school may think of having a mobile bank for some time so that it can be lent and taken back. These are some of the ideas that we have been going through.
Mr. Lantu Teran is asking, whenever I teach about evolution, I find it that it is directly in conflict with religious beliefs of some individual. Can religious teaching and science get along?
When we say religious beliefs and teachings of science, when we say teachings of science, so everything has to be on the basics based on facts. And religion too have slowly adapted itself so that gradually whatever has been prescribed in science has been slowly taken into its fold. For example, now the origin of species, the debate I talked about, those ideas have been taken over by church also. So some of the ideas. Yes, there are still fundamental differences. So religion and religious studies are important, but then scientific studies are also important. But mixing of them can, yes, I agree, can create problems. And we should know what are the differences and where these differences come. And where these differences come, we know that we need to rely more on facts, and we need to rely more on the reasons, and that is how communication. Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. Ma'am, I am Imtiaz. Can I contribute a bit regarding this evolution and religion?
Yes, please.
What I understand is, sir, I have completely listened to your lecture. It was very informative, and the examples were wonderful. But regarding this evolution and religion, what I usually tell my students is that I also believe in religion. Religion is my faith, but I also trust the experiments that proved the existence of life forms and their evolution. So I subscribe to both science and the religion. That is why I am teaching you evolution. This is the explanation I usually give. Since I tell them I also trust in religion, I have faith in religion, they usually accept it.
Yeah, that could be that could be one of the ways. Yes. Yes. Anything else? we need to wind up because we have already crossed
Yes,
the limit.
there are so many similar type of questions that you have answered already, and many of the major questions are regarding during the online teaching during this COVID pandemic, and they are asking about to suggest some tips for being a better facilitator or to be a teacher in this pandemic.
So I think these will be covered in subsequent lectures. So I leave it to that because that cannot be covered in simply 1 or 2 minutes. It needs more detailed discussion. And it was wonderful interacting with all the distinguished teachers. We enjoyed interacting with you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We also thank you, sir, for your very innovative speech and also very encouraging one. The participants are asking so many questions, and there are so many comments in our live streaming and also in this chat box. And they thank all. They all are thanking you for this interesting session and this informative session. Sir, would like to. Will you like to continue, sir, from Subhanshu Shekhar Sarkar, sir? Would like to.
Yes, sir. Yes.
No, it's all right, sir. There are lots of questions also, and those questions which cannot be accommodated, we'll record the questions, sir. Yeah. And afterwards, we'll try to address the questions. Fine, it's a great opportunity to have you, sir, with a so long experience in teaching as well as administration. Sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Sapna.
We thank all the participants also for your participation in both the platforms. So we conclude this session here. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, can I ask?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, a little bit network issue. I could not get things properly. Ma'am, I was following in the YouTube, and later link was sent with the Google Classroom. So we need to switch immediately, right? So how it works, ma'am? Because I could not get that properly.
According to the standard operating procedure, the program will be streamed through our YouTube Live, and at the last 15 minutes, or as per the resource person desires, we will open the Google Meet link for interaction, so that you can come, leaving the streaming link, you can come to the Google Meet to directly interact with the resource person. Otherwise, if you are watching in live streaming, then also we will take up your questions here.
Ma'am, which one for attendance purpose it will be taken? Should we need to watch it in the Google Classroom or in the YouTube? Because in Google Classroom also we can watch YouTube.
Okay.
So, we don't need to worry about attendance. We have a mechanism to collect the attendance. So whichever mode is suitable for you, make sure that you are attending the sessions. Okay, and wherever required, you try to interact with the resource person wherever possible. But you need to make sure that you are attending all the sessions, whether it is live or pre-recorded. We have a mechanism to collect the attendance. We have a separate mechanism. We are going to give feedback links to the participants. We'll have to submit the feedback links, feedback forms, and we are using all other methods available without involving too much. Okay.
Fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.
With these words, we'd like to thank Mojiti Sodri sir again, and we'd like to conclude this session here.
Thank you.